Hello and welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening to us on iTunes right now, go ahead and leave a 5-star review. For example, here's a really great review from none other than Mayor McDickcheese. Great combos with great guests, an excellent variety of guests from adult stars to competitive eaters to comic book artists. Chrissie brings the people together. Bring on Alex Zones. We tried to spell Alex Jones in a different way. Thank you, Mayor McDickcheese. Yeah, I'm trying. I feel like I'm honing in on Alex Jones. We had Owen Schroyer on this week. We've had Savannah Hernandez on a couple times. She used to be a producer for him. So one day, I think it'll happen. I'm doing stand-up tomorrow in New Jersey. I'll be headlining TIFF's in Morris Plains, also known as the Dojo of Comedy. Amanda Gale is going to be opening for me. And then I'll be back to Texas. Before I go to Texas, I'll be in Little Rock, Arkansas for the first time. Never been to Arkansas. I got to learn how to spell it. December 13th, I'll be doing the Looney Bin in Little Rock, and then back to Dallas December 15th and 16th to do a show at Hyenas over there in Dallas with Anthony Cumia and Aaron Berg. So if you're a Compound Media fan, those will definitely be some shows to get to. I want to do a quick shout out to a very cool new sponsor. It's actually I don't know if you guys are familiar with Substack, but it's like a very cool blog. So Standalone is a new Substack by Melissa McCutcheon, an artist, and she's actually a former professor who quit due to the corruption of academia. She publishes at least once a week on topics designed to offer some hope and insight into the bizarre groupthink world we're currently living in. You can subscribe at standalone.substack.com. It's free, and there's some really valuable bits of advice regarding individual empowerment and ways to stay true to your principles in the face of adversity. In fact, she just published a piece about the wave of resignations that we're seeing in response to the vaccine mandates for companies with 100 or more employees. And she weaves in her own story of her decision to leave academia. Go read and subscribe at standalone.substack.com. As you can see, she talks about critical thinking, free speech, uncertainty, like all the topics we love here on CMP. And another quick little shout out to Cushy Dreams. If you guys are struggling with anxiety, I know their products have really helped me handle mine. It's great because you can get all the benefits of CBD without getting high. They do pre-rolls and CBD in little tins. I like the pre-rolls because they're portable. They come in this nifty 5-pack. You can join the men and women who are sick of vapes and gummies and smoke your CBD. They have different indica sativa blends like Relax, Dream, Energy, Hustle, Create. So whatever you want to do with your day, Cushy Dreams has your back. Grown here in the USA, legal in all 50 states. Use code CMP at the checkout to get 20% off. That's cushydreams.com, KUSHY dreams.com. All right. I'm so excited to have this guy back on the podcast. He's been on a couple months ago. He is the host of a wonderful podcast called Modern Wisdom. He's kind of an expert in bro science. He calls himself a fake guru, but I feel like he's the real deal. Chris Williamson, welcome back to the pod. How are you?
What? How are you doing?
What? The last time we spoke, you were planning possibly a trip / vacay to, was it Russia with Michael Malice?
Yeah, we couldn't do that. Fucking COVID, man. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, this thing stopping everyone from traveling. So
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah. So instead of doing that, I'm going to Austin next Friday for a month.
Oh, nice. So I wonder if you'll be there when I'm there.
What date?
Let's see, December 15th and 16th.
That's the weekend I'm supposed to come back. But if I'm there,
okay.
I'm there.
Okay, sweet.
I'll bring Malice and we can shit talk you.
Oh, I would love that. Malice used to have a show on Compound Media as well, and then he had to leave it because he was working on just 2 books. So
serious
he's a big
guy.
deal. He's a big deal, busy guy. So what are you going to be doing while you're in Texas?
Recording more of the same, just keep the show going, but in slightly better weather and with some good buddies. I got a lot of people out there that I'm friends with, so I'm looking forward to it. It's weird.
That's awesome.
You don't really think about it at the time, but you look back on this year and last year, you realize, especially if you traveled a fair bit or you're used to going and doing stuff, it's just been like one day on repeat with brief interludes of it not being the same routine over and over. So I'm really looking forward to breaking up the monotony.
Yeah. How are things? Oh, I don't know. You don't have to dox yourself, but you live in the UK. Do you live
Newcastle,
in
yeah, up north.
Okay, what is that? What is that? Like London, but different? Like
Have you seen Game of Thrones?
I actually haven't. That's like, I don't know.
Fuck.
Probably
Okay.
the
Well,
only person who hasn't
it's
seen
the
it.
last city before
Okay.
Scotland. It's as north as you can get. It's where the cold stuff is. But restrictions here, COVID just isn't a thing.
It's
in the
not.
UK.
Oh, that's great.
Legit not a thing. You don't need to, there's no tests no vaccine passports, no checks for going into restaurants.
Oh, wow.
There's no masking in public transport, no masking in supermarkets, no nothing. But we are 87% vax. I think 83% double vax and 87% single vax for kids aged 12 and above. So when you compare that with America, which would probably be less than 50 if you used it for 12 and above, it's not even the same universe.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. They're starting to vax kids here in the States. Like I know Connecticut has started like this week vaxing kids like 5 to 11. And I don't know. Most people that I talk to do not have positive feelings about it because it's just so not necessary. And it'll be interesting.
I watched this video of a dad testifying to some committee who'd lost his son after he'd had this 16-year-old boy had died. I don't know the specifics around what it was due to, but he certainly seemed to have the vaccine. And then shortly after that, a normal young 16-year-old boy died. It's heartbreaking watching this dad just pour his heart out to this committee and trying to hold it together he's holding up this big photo of his son. It's really painful to watch.
Oh, it's so sad because like, everyone's just doing the best that even, I'm not a parent yet, but like everyone's just doing the best they can with the information that they have at that time. I don't think that very many parents would genuinely want to put their kids in harm's way. And you would hope that they have done a lot of research before injecting something into themselves or their kids. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what the next few years bring. And I don't know. I feel like it'll be a lot of health problems that get blamed on other things. And it'll be a sneaky little killer. But I don't know. I'm trying not to be like a super conspiracy weirdo. Although that's who I am. So I'm just going to embrace
Sink into it. Just embrace the shit out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I love your content, Chris, because I've been like a consumer of kind of self-help books kind of like all of my adult life. And your content, like it's easier to digest for some reason. Like I don't know if it's because the difference between like you're a guy and most of the self-help stuff I've read or absorbed has been sort of like by women for women. And I don't know, there's something kind of like gentle about your content, like just kind of easy ways to evolve or enhance, like just something so simple as like to being grateful. Like how do you figure out the kind of people that you want to interview? What's your process like because I feel like you pluck out such interesting people and you squeeze such valuable nuggets from them.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Doing anything 3 times a week means that you get pretty good at it if you hassle enough people, and then you end up finding out the ones that work and the ones that don't. I don't really know. I just follow the curiosity, and also I want to be better as well. I am the audience. The best sort of product. You write the book that you wanted to read, and you create the podcast that you wanted to listen to. I'd subscribe to my own show because it answers the questions that I want. So yeah, I think it's a weird one, self-help and that whole kind of world of personal development, because people can sink into it for so long and it's just like mental masturbation. And you use perfectionism masquerading as quality control, like your perfectionist tendencies just procrastinate your shit away. But there are some nuggets of gold in there. Just got to dig them out.
I really am enjoying your 3-minute Mondays. Let me bring up because it's like kind of a reflection. It's a kind of like a meaningful. I feel like it's you kind of reflecting on the guests you've had recently, and this one is just really interesting. And you're talking about like there's nothing worse than somebody who is kind of arrogant, and like you boil that down to the least endearing types of people are the ones who never admit their ignorance. Um, Knowing what you don't know and being able to admit it is a superpower. Awareness of the limits of your expertise is nearly as important as the expertise themselves. The goal isn't to appear knowledgeable, it's to be the sort of person who acquires knowledge. And I think that's just very helpful for me to remember, because a lot of times I feel like I can't speak on something unless I'm like the most expert, point of view. Maybe that's like going into like some of my imposter syndrome, but I don't know. I just love your stuff. And you deal a lot with kind of like, I guess, mental health issues. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Libs of TikTok account, which to me is like a gold mine of mental health issues. So Chris Pratt is an actor. He's had kind of a target on his back because he is a Christian, and he posted this, kind of happy looking photo with him and his wife. I think he's remarried, and leave it to the mentally ill.
Look at that face! Holy fuck! Jesus Christ! It's like Gollum had sex with a girl from The Ring.
Leave it to the mentally ill harpies of the Libs of she's not posting to Libs of TikTok, but they sure found her. Anyway, there's clearly a lot of women. It feels like more women hating on this guy for being happy and remarrying. So we're going to watch this, and I want to get your feelings. Cause woohoo!
Let's catch up with our least favorite Chris, shall we? The man that April Ludgate and Anna Faris are way too good for posted this on his Instagram. Guys, for real, look how she's looking at me. I mean, find you somebody that looks at you like that. You know, we met at church. Yeah, I know. We could all tell. We could tell by the fact that she's staring at you like that in a Duggar sort of way. And you're not looking at her, you're looking at the camera and treating her like a prize. Then he goes on, she's giving me an amazing life, a gorgeous, healthy daughter. Healthy daughter. That was important to put in there, right? Don't you have a son? Wasn't he born premature? Hasn't he had health issues? Yeah. But don't worry, guys. Her heart is pure, and it belongs to him. He's got a trophy. They share a Facebook account, don't they? They do. They have to share a Facebook account.
There's so much here, Chris. I think a lot of this to me is just like, okay, this is high school. In some senses, high school. Twitter can be, and Instagram, all the platforms can kind of just be like high school all over again. But it's interesting that like people will spend time like reading into the intentions of his Instagram posts. Like, how dare he mention this healthy daughter when he has another child with another woman, and maybe there's some disabilities there. But I don't know. I think the larger issue here is like a happy person doesn't make this kind of a TikTok, doesn't make this kind of a post. And it's weird. It's like, is she kind of telling herself? Like, is this TikTok for herself? Like, it's kind of like it's defensive. Who is she talking to? To me, it sounds like she's just trying to let herself know it's okay to be alone. It's like she's miserable right now. She's jealous, but that's okay, because somehow if you can find a bad motive in Chris Pratt, like, then she doesn't have to look within.
I don't know whether people that post those TikToks and then get featured on Libs of TikTok, I don't know if they feel like, right, finally on the big stage, because they should stand by their content. She'd be like, right, yeah, I've made it to the fucking World Series. Like, she made it. She obviously spent time editing it and thinking about what she was going to say and putting it up. So I would be fascinated to find out if that girl is now happy that her message has reached, 107,000 views in 5 hours. That's fucking good. If she stands by what she says, that's a good bit of reach. I don't know. I mean, first thing is that I'm happy I'm not the world's least favorite Chris. That's
yeah.
One thing that I can take away from it. And yeah, I mean, the bottom line is nobody is sufficiently pure for the woke mob. I don't really like using the word woke. It's just become, even it as a fucking pejorative has become lambasted, but no one's pure enough. He's a guy who has posted an image about his new missus saying that he's happy with her. And the subtext of, he mentioned the son. Well, it's not her son. Like, presumably the son's from a previous marriage, so it's his son. She didn't give him? So if he posts a photo of her with the son and not with the daughter, is that also bad? There's no degree of purity that people can get to that's sufficiently well done. And the problem is, when we were kids, there was no global broadcast medium with which to spout the shitty half-baked opinions coming out of your non-developed prefrontal cortex. Like there was no way that you could broadcast it to the world. However, now there is, and we're seeing the fucking result of that in front of our eyes.
So it sounds like this would just be like an outburst. You'd call a friend and have it out with her. Like, yeah, what did we do in the aughts, the early aughts? We would like write notes to our friends, or we'd have long phone calls, and we'd sort of get it out of our system that way. We had MySpace, but it wasn't. It was just you're leaving away messages. There wasn't like this need to spew out like all of your insecurities and that's the thing. This is a moment in time. I don't know. I just think it's interesting. Like, what if this woman who posted this ends up like meeting a guy and she evolves and she's really happy? I don't know. So now she has like the internet. It's just, it stamps you, it's not that you shouldn't express yourself, but I don't know.
Man,
I think it's fascinating.
Our opinions from when we were teenagers haven't been encapsulated on the internet for the rest of time, because that's staying. That video now exists for the rest of her life. That video at that angle with her looking like she's 105% chin.
I thought you were going to say 105 years old.
105% chin.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yes.
That is one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, that face.
Throw on a little mascara. That's why I'm late for all of these podcasts. I'm trying to not look like this girl.
Yeah. I mean, that's terrifying. Really terrifying. Oh God.
Okay, well, if that wasn't enough.
Here we go again with another person saying, "Oh, if you're not happy here in America,
already,
why don't you just leave?" Once again, I didn't realize moving to a different country was free. You willing to find me a house or a permit and pay for housing? You willing to help me pay to renounce my U.S. citizenship to get me the fuck out of here? Are you willing to help pay to help me move my shit over there? Oh, you're not. Again,
she's just like complaining. The old thing, like, if you don't like it, just leave. That's what she's responding to. Oh, it's just like being a victim is so addictive. It's such a drug. And you were speaking to a guy on a recent episode. I think he was I forget his name, but he said like this victimhood drug is pushed so hard on the Black community. I think it's also pushed really hard on these sort of like struggling younger people. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily, I mean, these are probably millennials as well, not just Gen Z, but it's just a real, it makes me sad. I feel like it's something that's pushed on people that robs them of joy, that robs them of finding a fulfilling life, because they're not starting from a place of gratitude, Like, you're making a TikTok complaining about how you're a victim. How is that going to attract more like abundance into your life?
Yeah, it's an easy get out of jail free card to blame whatever insufficiencies you have in your life on external circumstances and say that you're a victim. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't real victims. Like, all right, there are things that occur, but you get to choose how you interpret that situation. You can either choose it as, look at what happens to me, or, okay, this is a lesson, I can get past it, so on and so forth. I think what we're probably talking about, it doesn't look to me like this person is living in a tent somewhere. They're not homeless.
Right.
This isn't someone, I can't tell, but they don't look like they're physically disabled. So you think, okay, there are people that have it. You are not at the bottom of the hierarchy of how shit life could be. There is a fair bit lower for you to fall. I don't know. It's the nobody asked you just leave thing. Do people that aren't contributing to society have the right to criticize about the society that they're in? That's kind of the question that we're asking here. It sounds like, or it doesn't seem like this person probably is. She doesn't seem like a valid community. It doesn't seem like I may have just misgendered this person as well. Doesn't seem like a valid community member. Doesn't seem like they'll be contributing that much. So given the fact that they're maybe not, do they have the right to be able to criticize about a system that they don't contribute to? That's the question.
Yeah. And you spoke to, God, and I can't remember any of these guests' names. And it seems just like posting making TikToks, it's such a distraction because if you can spend like many hours a day doing this, it's like sort of gratifying. You get clicks, you get likes, you get validation. Whereas like it takes you away from the harder task of being like, okay, look, I am like genuinely not happy in my life right now. I don't know if it's like I need to look at my finances, I need to find a job, I need to look at my relationships, I need to get in better shape. I think we have to be all conscious of the fact that like social media, and even if some of us are like watching this podcast on social media right now, obviously, but it can rob you. Like, what are the ways that people can watch and be careful of the ways that social media kind of robs you of your chance to be like a fully like the happiest person you can be, right? Because you had this woman on is talking about how like your dopamine centers get just so like overrun, hit too many times that it sort of ruins your ability to kind of like feel like real lasting happiness. And I think it's this basically like this podcast can be like, how can we get everybody reading Jordan Peterson books and learning that the way to lasting happiness is through like work and commitments and taking responsibility. Like it's tricky because we need social media for both of what we do, but at the same time it can be such a dangerous distraction.
The modern devil is cheap dopamine. Like 100%. It's the main thing that is stopping most people in the modern world from achieving what they want to achieve. We can fragment our day into so many tiny little slivers that you don't ever end up getting something worthwhile and fulfilling done. You make no progress towards your meaningful long-term goals because you're constantly keeping your notifications at zero, or you're constantly making sure that you reply to your Instagram DMs. So a good question for people to ask themselves is, what would be the prize of winning the game that I'm playing? So let's say that you're playing a game. I'm playing the game of my Instagram notifications are always going to be at zero, or I'm always going to be the quickest person to reply in a group chat or whatever. Like, tell me what the prize is that you win for playing that particular game. Fuck all. Like, actually nothing, because it's a perpetual stream of just stuff coming in, and then you respond, and then it goes back out again. Whereas, tell me what the prize of winning the go to the gym 5 times a week, spend more time with my parents, read some books, go to bed and get up on time, meditate every day, read every day, whatever it is that floats your boat, fucking start knitting, whatever it is that you think is actually going to contribute to lasting happiness. What happens if you win that game? If you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And the prize that most people are winning at the moment is just fucking their dopamine. And honestly, before even beginning to read a Jordan Peterson book, just maybe a week without social media. Like, maybe just see if you could do that. And that on its own would be the beginning of a good detox away from this stuff. It allows your dopamine levels to rebalance in the brain a little bit. And Johan Hari, the guy that wrote Lost Connections and Chasing the Scream, awesome books on depression and drug addiction. He's doing a new one called Stolen Focus. And
his name's Johan Hari.
Hari.
Oh, Hari.
JohannHari. Very British guy for a very foreign sounding name. And he's got a new book called Stolen Focus coming out in the new year. And I'm partway through that. And it is so good. All about this stuff. He went and took himself offline for 4 months and wrote a bunch of different things and did some reflection and did a ton of reading. But yeah, the problem with social media is it gives you the illusion of having achieved something whilst having not achieved anything at all.
Oh, so scary. Oh my God. Because I spend so much time on all of the platforms.
But you have to for your work. You justify it by it being a part of your work. So what I would do if it's someone, because everyone's got a reason, and that reason, the tiny little bit of justification is what always keeps you going. So what I would say for those people, like if you do not have a reason to be on social media, i.e. you're not a content creator and your business isn't run from your social media, then I would just outright try and do 1 week off every couple of months and then probably a full month off once per year. But if it's the way that you do or I do, and maybe we can't be away, I would, if you're a smaller size creator, I would try and do intermittent fasting for your phone. So I'd have a time before which I'm not going to use it and a time after which I'm not going to use it. So let's say that you've got 6 hours during the day, right in the middle of the day when you can use it. And you know that after that, it goes in a box. Buy a box so it's symbolic. And you like put your phone in the box. And that once it's in the box, that's when it goes in. And then once you get yourself to a stage where you can outsource your social media. So I've done this now. I don't do the massive amount of my social media stuff. I have a guy that is the intermediary between me and posting. So most of the stuff that goes out
Okay.
has been created by me, but the scheduling's not done by me, and the posting's not done by me, and the editing of the clips and stuff isn't done by me. And you can find people that will do it for, let's say that maybe about $1,000 a month, which isn't no money at all. But fuck, I will happily pay $1,000 a month to not have to use social media beyond when I want to. If I want to go on and check, so you sent me this stuff about Dave Portnoy that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to enjoy watching his videos on Twitter, but I don't have to go on because I need to for work. And then when I do, I don't do any work because I get tumbled down some rabbit hole about something else, and I end up after half an hour having not done any work, having just been distracted. So that would be, I say that for most people, getting a cleaner and getting someone to do your washing is that they're two of the ways that you should outsource tasks that you do on a normal basis, because you can make more money during the time that you outsource them than the time it takes for you to do them. Getting a PA to help handle emails would be up there, but I genuinely think that getting someone to just start to look after social media it's rising up the ranks of how important it would be, because it's not the time that you spend on social media, it's the time that you spend being distracted and falling down little rabbit holes. And without that, it's so liberating. Even just the fact that you have the mental space on a morning because you've got a podcast that goes out today, or you've got a show that happens tonight, and you don't need to, as soon as you get up, go, fuck, I woke up half an hour late and I need to post this story, because if I don't post the story, then people won't know, and they've got to get the tickets and I've got to do the podcast. Nah, just give it to the guy, and the guy will do it. And it's his problem.
It's so hard though, because I love seeing that little video of the raccoon that comes and steals the cat food and then like runs off with it, and you're like, oh, he has like little people hands. And animal videos like really get me. But yeah, you're right. And I noticed like once I laid out some money and hired a couple people to start making clips of my podcast, like my growth just took off. And that's what you need. And that's what like building a business is. You hire someone to do things so that you can grow. And also just realizing like I am not great at making clips, and it would take me much longer.
These people are better than you at what you're failing to do.
Yeah.
And you don't want to pay them the money that they will happily take. You're like, no one's losing here. Everybody wins. And the audience gets nicer looking content. My Instagram is so... I'm quite shit at writing captions. The guy that does most of the captions for me, I'll write out what I think, and then he repurposes it, and people really like him. But I mean, I am slowly becoming... People that like that content are technically in love with Joe, the social media guy, rather than me. But never mind.
So does he answer like, your DMs, your like sexy DMs and stuff?
No, that's got to be me. So all of the feet pic requests that come through, I respond to personally.
Be like, no, let me have this one.
This is me, Joe. Don't be sending photos of your feet. They want my feet.
That's great. I had to get over something where like before I hired a couple people to do things for me, I was like, no, I should be able to make my own clips. I should be able to do all my social media. There's no reason why I can't learn this. There's no reason why I can't watch YouTube videos and learn. Like I was shooting myself to death. And I don't know who I picked that up from. Somebody was like, if you're saying a lot of shoulds instead of like, I wanted, you know what I mean? Like I was just watching how I felt about it. I'm like, oh no, it sounds like this is a real pain in the ass thing that's not coming easily to me. So, and it makes me feel so good to pay people to do things. Like I hope one day I can be.
But then you've got like a little team of people, and you've got sort of a community, and you're all talking about stuff, and you have someone else to talk to about, oh, how do you think that podcast with Chris went, and blah blah blah. Oh yeah, that was cool. It's just nice. People don't realize this. That content creators, the vast majority of them are very lean in terms of their business. So you go into work, and most small and medium businesses might have 10 people in an office, and they're all talking, Joanne does accounts, and Jonathan does marketing, and so-and-so does operations or whatever. But there's a community of people there, and that's quite motivating. So, for anyone that wants to start a business, looking at adding a couple of team members in, even if they're just part-time or even if they're just helping out, maybe recruiting before you think that you're ready is a good idea, because it's just going to give you that support structure of it not always being just you staring into the fucking void, you and your existential crises looming slow overhead, because you can get a bit of motivation from other people that are around you. And it's awesome. It's really cool, especially because it's something that you care about. And to go like, I've got a team. I've got a guy that looks after my clips. Like, it's cool.
It is very cool. Would you recommend, like, if somebody is wanting to embark on like a big goal, like getting in better shape or just like another big goal for like self-improvement, do you feel like it's good for them to maybe kind of find like a mini mentor, whether that's like following somebody good on social media? Like, let's say nobody in your friend group is doing what you want to do. Like, eventually you will attract those people, right? Because they say you're the sum of the 5 people you're around or whatever. But let's say nobody in your orbit is like, say, working on getting more fit. Um, what should that person do? Should they be following some people on social media that they think will inspire them, or you know what are the, I don't know, I guess the options for someone like that who doesn't have someone they can call up and just cheer them on?
I would try and surround yourself with people that are like the person that you want to be like. So if you want to be a fit person and none of your friends are into fitness, you've got to go find yourself some friends that are into fitness. And where do they hang out? Probably at the fucking gym. So why don't you go to a gym that does classes? And it doesn't have to be CrossFit. It doesn't have to be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You can find the thing that you like. Fitness is a good example, right? Find the thing that you like. Go to a place where other people that like that thing go, and just say, hey, I'm new here. Would you, where should I get started? And if they're in a class, yeah, you might have to pay a little bit more. Let's say it's for a gym membership. Instead of it being $50 a month, it's going to be $150 a month. But that $100 is a social circle. It's accountability with a coach. It's external motivation because of all of the people that are in the room with you. It's the sense of belonging. It's the Christmas drinks and dinner out with everybody. If you're a good-looking guy, then you've probably got your next 6 months of shag sorted. If you're a girl, then you've maybe got it's a good way to outsource your motivation. Like the same thing, fucking knitting. You want to start knitting or yoga or dog trick training or something. There is a club or a subreddit for everything. Reddit's awesome. Problem with most social medias is that they're not really refined by interest. Whereas if you want to get into something, just find a group on Reddit and say, hey, I want to start doing this in this area. Does anyone know? And there will be someone that's aware of the Tai Chi club in North Carolina's whatever district. Like, there will be someone that knows it. So yeah, that's a good place to start.
So more so than like Facebook groups, you think Reddit is a better spot?
Facebook group is just now, as far as I can see, for conspiracy theories. Every Facebook group that I know has just been completely taken, and that's fine. Like, if your thing is going to be conspiracy theories, but if you're trying to learn how to do Tai Chi, you don't really need to have people telling you about like the melting point of steel while you're trying to do your movements.
That is true. Talking about distraction, I get distracted in a lot of like conspiracy Instagram accounts, and then
what's your favorite ones?
Oh God, there's one that talks a lot about like the mud floods and like Tartaria.
Can
and
everyone check out Chrissie's phone case, because that is the most trashy thing.
I had to have this. I was like,
that is brutal.
It's glitter. It's like a two-tone.
Fucking awful. You are such a weapon. Look at that.
Look at this side.
That rhinestone cowboy.
I had to have it. I was like, this came in so many different colors, Chris, and I was like, no, I need to go two-toned. And this is like a little piece of like shungite. It's supposed to like protect against like electromagnetic waves or whatever. This tiny little crystal in here. But yeah, this is something my mom would have. It's just a little tiny thing that lets people know I'm still like Long Island trashy.
You've taken the one thing that you're not supposed to have near your phone, liquids, and you've attached it to your phone. Like, is this a
liquid? I guess so. Yeah.
It has to be.
Right, because
if you puncture that, it's all over everything.
Oh yeah, and I will like immediately get glitter. AIDS, probably. Yeah.
Yes, precisely. It's a carcinogen. You've just got like some medical grade awfulness on the back of your phone.
It's just this was taken from a pride parade, and Oh
no,
it's
I'm gonna get cancelled now.
I've been canceled before. For super chat from Torgo the White. So Libs of TikTok seems to be about 50% awfuls, affluent white female leftists, and 50% teenagers' expression of their 14 genders. Is that about right? Yeah, it is mostly white people. Every time I scroll on there. Why is that? I don't know. I think there's just people tend to find their groups, and then there's also like Black Twitter. So
I don't get Black Twitter.
I don't either. All.
I once got tagged in. I replied to something about like when 6ix9ine came out of jail or some shit. And I just responded, and everybody got hold of my tweet. And honestly, in the nicest way possible, I didn't know what people were saying to me. I couldn't work out what the problem was with whatever it was that I'd said. And there was a lot of stay
Too much
out of
slang?
your own business or something. I don't know. A lot of
yeah.
slang. But look at the libs of TikTok stuff. There's it's acronyms and weird words and stuff. So I'm sure that Black Twitter is going to struggle with that as well. It's so bizarre because there are these entire little universes of people that exist on the internet.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that. Like, I still don't. This is like, I'm gonna sound so old and white, but I guess
just the most
saying
boomer thing that you've ever said.
finna is a thing, like FINNA instead of you're gonna do something. And I was like, is that just a popular like misspelling of it? How did that come about? I don't know. It's just so dumb. I was like, every little group, like, how is it okay to just, I don't know, erode the language that we all speak in? I guess. I don't know. I feel like it's all fucked. Young Pei Chang. Good morning, guys. Friday.
Shit, it is morning for you lot. It's 4 p.m. for me.
Well, now it's noon. It's noon here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Young Pei is my my only Asian fan. So I have to have at least one.
Asian Twitter coming in hot.
I need that. He has to stick up for me when Asian Twitter comes after me, which is about, I don't know,
typing really, really fast and very precisely.
It came after me after I did Kung Fu fighting. So I appreciate him. So speaking of having your shags lined up for the month, by joining a gym, I don't know if you are familiar with this Dave Portnoy scandal. This really broke yesterday. Barstool's Dave Portnoy denies non-consensual rough sex in hit piece, admits he is scared of cancel culture, and Tucker had him on yesterday. I thought this was a good little snippet. Hold on.
He also has a massive social media following because he is a free thinker. He's not explicitly political or really political.
Tucker's only 52. Can you believe it? He looks great.
And the authorities don't like it.
He does look great.
Yesterday, he announced that he suspects he's being shadow banned on social media platforms. That means these platforms are making it hard or impossible for people to view his posts. Here's what he said.
Emergency press stars, I'm getting shadow banned. I mean, come on. Instagram, I had 100 followers last night. Give me a break. That's a joke. TikTok, I can't buy a comment. 6 comments on a video. I comment. Where are the comments? No comments. Nothing is working. Nothing is showing up. Is it Big Pizza? Is Big Pizza after me? Big frozen pizza? Because
he does pizza reviews, Chris. He's known for his like one bite pizza reviews.
Okay.
I don't know. What could it be?
What could it be? That's the question. We thought we would ask Dave Portnoy directly. He joins us tonight. Dave, thanks a lot for coming on. So first of all, good for you for calling them on this in public. That's really our only defense is sunlight here. Why do you think they would do this to you? You're not running for anything, are you?
No, I'm not running for anything. You never really know why they're doing it. It varies every time. There is something to say. It's the algorithm, and it may not be as devious, but the algorithm certainly plays to people maybe more on the liberal side who don't like things you have to say. So could it be I made fun of AOC?
Okay, I want to see if he talks about the sexual allegations.
Tonight, people may not like that. Finance, if people in a certain side, and it tends to be the big social media platforms, don't like what you have to say, there's no doubt that you start disappearing. And whether you like Trump, don't like Trump, I have no opinion on it. The fact they kicked him off, Twitter and social media totally, and then you have like at one point the Taliban on there. There's no rhyme or reason for what's happening.
He's such a aggressively regular guy.
Aggressive, feline, creepy way to do it. If they want you off Twitter, just say, "Hey, Dave Portnoy, you can't."
It sounds like they're purposefully avoiding the allegations
huh?
And they're just talking about the
shadow banning and the big tech stuff. Because it is Fox. I wonder if they're like, "Oh, we don't want to."
In your apartment, and be like, "Oh, this guy did it." If they came out and said, "Hey, we're banning Dave because he said something that the tax."
Yeah, do I have this right? Yeah, this is an article about this.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to prove
the sex allegations. Yet this clip is
1 day or 2 days in a row. I get no new
not acknowledging it. So there was a big, basically kind of like hit piece that came out. Supposedly there are a couple girls that, and he thinks this is something that's been planned for like 8 months, or it took 8 months for this person to come out. that, he choked her. He was too kinky. He was, so I think what happened is that he'd been speaking with this girl for like a month and a half and then flew her out to Nantucket, like first class, all that. And then I guess they banged and then they ended up talking and they like, okay, they don't share the same worldview. And then so months later, now she's saying, oh, he made me feel like I was screaming in pain. He made me feel like I was a sex doll. And then he shows texts being like, this girl was saying that she really wanted to do a rape fantasy. And he was like, okay, that sounds good. Like, he's a kinky dude. He's 44 years old. That's what happens. You get older, you get sexually weird. And these girls, I know, I think part of the problem is like these girls are all like 20 years old. And I think it just takes time.
Details of a woman's claim that her rape fantasy turned into a traumatic experience. What's the difference between a rape fantasy and a traumatic experience?
You're not gonna. How are you gonna have a good rape fantasy? Like, how you're not? Let's do it tame. Like, I want to. I don't know. Don't tell a guy you're into pain unless you're into pain. And also it's like you're being flown out. There's kind of an expectation there. You're sexting. You're literally sharing sexy like photos and videos of each other. And so anyway, so like obviously Dave is freaking out. He's scared right now because this is the model. Like he's a rich and powerful guy. He's worth tens of millions of dollars. He, has like this empire. He's like a good looking guy, right? And
how old is Dave Portnoy? Do you know?
I'm sure he gets tons of DMs. Let's look it up. I'm gonna guess 44.
41.
44. He was born in 1977. So I think he's 44.
Looks good for his age.
He does. I think he probably moisturizes. The point is, this is a good lesson for Dave because I'm kind of amazed something like this hasn't happened to him sooner at the level he's at.
Why is he in the crosshairs? What is it that he does?
He created Barstool Sports, which is like this mega, like, like kind of like sports media company. And he also like has this famous YouTube channel. He'll do like one bite pizza reviews, and he'll go all over the country reviewing pizza. And then like, he's like pretty, he's pretty tough about the scores. I'm going to pull one up just cause he's very lovable.
That's a fucking good question. Like, who is coming for him? Are the pizza people coming for him?
No, not the pizza people, just like a couple of girls that he's hooked up with.
But my point is that neither of those things, him starting Barstool Sports, which is what, sports betting or some sort of fantasy league type media company,
it's like
thing?
they kind of like, I mean, they're really kind of just like another like mini like media network in a sense. Okay. And he's very outspoken and he's free speech. He doesn't, he's obviously not a leftist. Like, he doesn't come out about being, but he probably would view him as more right wing, right? Because he's just not here's
the fucking problem with being on the right. Okay, the problem with being on the right is that you have no friends to the right and only enemies to the left. Ooh. If somebody goes after somebody on the left, everybody rallies around them from the left. Somebody goes after somebody on the right, you get a tiny token gesture. Everyone else is like, "Good luck, mate." There's no camaraderie, or the far less camaraderie, I think.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Let's see. It was, Insider. So this was broke by Business Insider. Spoke with more than 24 people with direct experience with Portnoy and Barstool, including 8 current or former employees, some women as young as 19 who had no professional connection to Portnoy, meaning hookups, recounted having sexually explicit online exchanges with him. 3 of these women say they had sex with Portnoy, and that these encounters turned into frightening and humiliating experiences that have taken a toll on their mental health. And I joked around like, yeah, you're not really going to have great sex without putting your dignity aside. Do you know what I mean? Like, you got to put some of your human rights to the side if you want, like, yeah, let's have some really great, weird sex. I don't know. You're not always going to feel totally respected when you're trying new things. 2, including Madison, said Portnoy both choked and filmed them without advance permission. Another, who had depression, said she was suicidal after the 2 had sex. Imagine you're like, dick so good, you're suicidal after. And all 3 were afraid to speak out.
I wasn't getting this dick again. I'd kill myself.
Afraid to speak out. And one of these girls, Dave shows the texts, and one of the texts like, "You missed this dick yet?" And she was like, "Yes, I do."
Because that one, the one that said that she was suicidal, was fangirling hard. oh my God, can't believe that Dave Portnoy is still speaking to me.
Yes,
And-
that's exactly what she said.
And then she invited him to a bar later that evening.
Yes. Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like he's manipulating them. But here's an interesting question, right? So the Me Too movement around Harvey Weinstein, who was a man in a position of power that leveraged his power to get sexual access, right?
Mhm.
But there is a sliding scale between, let's say there's a sliding scale between him and Dave Portnoy, who is a man that is in high status in a position that women find sexually attractive. You know, someone that is powerful and well-known and charismatic and outgoing and blah, blah, blah. That's something that you think that guy probably fucks. So it's not a surprise that he fucks. But it seems like women that, the girls in this situation who have fallen for the status game that Dave has, now, upon looking back, think, oh, actually, kind of, I was 19 and he was probably 40 at the time or something. The whole age difference thing, to me, is a bit of a bizarre one. Once you get above, because 19 is legal in US, right? It's not 21 for sex or something. That would be ridiculous.
No, I was giving hand jobs at 14. Bad ones, but I was trying.
At what point do you get good at hand jobs?
For me, I mean, it's different for everybody. I think I probably got good like once I got to college, because I was kind of still a prude. Like I was saving my holes, you know. I think I had anal sex before regular sex. I went to a Jesuit college and I was like, you know what? God doesn't care about the back hole. I don't know. It was weird. I was like weirdly a prude in some ways.
Do you ever do two? Two?
I've had threesomes, yeah, but they were like, I don't know. The few I've had were kind of underwhelming, and honestly, a lot of work for me personally. So
yeah. I mean, it's logistically complex.
It is. I felt like I had to be like the mom. I was like, is everybody okay? Who needs a drink? Does anyone need a snack? Who needs to stretch? I don't know. It was a lot of work.
Fuck. So the Dave Portnoy thing, I get it. I'm terrified as well. Everyone is. Every guy that's got a sexual history and is remotely in the public limelight should be pretty concerned. But I think some lessons that you could take from the way that Dave's handled it is it plays into his persona, right? Because he's quite an open guy and quite an honest guy. Generally, he doesn't seem to have very many boundaries. And he's come out and said, my lawyers told me that I'm probably supposed to stay quiet and I shouldn't really address this. But you know that that's not the way that I play things. So here I am, letting it all out. And when he gets pushed on something, I saw a breakdown of his deposition about a guy that used to work for him and some T-shirts that he made for him. And the lawyer that was breaking it down said, when most people get pushed, they start to be defensive or evasive, whereas Dave just owns it. He says, yeah, I did make that T-shirt. Or with this situation, yeah, I did have sex with them. He hasn't been like culpably deniable or ignorant or something. He's just said, yes, those situations are correct. The reason that she slept on the couch isn't because of something that happened in bed. It's because of a difference philosophically or whatever, which is like the most 2021 thing to have happen. We had a disagreement about UBI, so she slept on the couch after she had my arsehole this far away from my face. Like,
be like, yeah, it turns out she's 20. We have nothing in common. Surprise! Like other than banging,
sure. The pillow talk wasn't that good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one as well, because as a guy, let's say that a girl on a first date or whatever on a hookup does want you to be rough with them. At what point are you now culpable for something? You know, there's no, okay, so give me a out of 10. How rough am I supposed to be? Is this allowed? Is this allowed? Is this allowed? And then you get into that fucking consent porn stuff, which is basically what you're saying.
Yeah. Did I lose you? Did I use your microphone? Oh, you're still there. Right. And that's the thing is like when you're hooking up, it's like you don't know someone super well. Maybe you spend a lot of time talking about what you want sexually, but like maybe you don't get into the emotions of somebody enough. Maybe you don't know about a past trauma or about like a trigger or like a dad issue or an abusive
Don't bring the
past.
bananas out. If you bring the bananas out, if it's apples, I'm fine. But if it's bananas, fuck. Like I don't know. It's a weird one. But Dave, if anyone can sort of survive this, it's someone. I don't know that much about Dave, and I haven't read the Business Insider review, so all of this is me bro-sciencing my way through it. But
Bro-sciencing.
If there's anyone that would be good at surviving this, it would be someone like Dave. I think Brian Callen kind of took a similar sort of approach when he had his problems. Was it last year? Start of last year, Brian Callen did?
Yes. Yeah.
And he just immediately came out and said, this is the situation. This is how I'm feeling. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, you managed to get, how'd you get past the paywall? Have you got a
Oh,
membership?
somebody, I found that somebody had like a non-paywall link. I guess it's called Archive Today. I was literally screaming in pain. Young women say they met Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy for sex, and it turned violent and humiliating to me, which sounds like a great time. But
because I really expected Dave Portnoy, founder of Barstool Sports, to lay the rose petals out on the bed for me.
Yeah.
And to play Barry White. I was expecting it to be a very romantic evening as I flew to his penthouse to get fucked.
Yeah. And she's 20 years old. She's a college student. He's a 43-year-old billionaire. I mean, that's the thing. Both people, like they're Snapchatting, they're texting. He sent her graphic videos of other women he'd slept with. To me, that is like, if that's true, that to me, like, that says a lot, you know, and then proceed from there. Like, okay, he's a little conquesty. He's about trophies. He might videotape you. I think it's just not thinking, you know, or you think, oh, it's going to be different with me. Like who this person has shown me to be. It'll be different when I come around. Yeah. And she even said, I'm interested in a rape fantasy, one where I don't have control of what's going on. He said, you and I are getting along so well. I'm like getting hot listening to this conversation here. And flew her out, first class plane ticket. Like you had me at hello. Even if you get me a coach ticket, like girl, I'm down, you know, a carry-on. That's exciting to me. The trip was a traumatic experience. Talking about how
they would order pizza instead of going out. Good guy. Use your speciality, your expertise.
Yes, he's like reviewing. I made a joke that, like, you know, he's reviewing the girl like he would review a pizza. Like, you're a little floppy, you're a little not that warm, you're kind of a drunk slice. 3.4, you know. And she's like, oh no. They started kissing. So here's part of the text. And I think she had sent this to a friend. We had sex one time. Here's where she's saying it was so rough. We've all had sex where it's felt rougher than you would like. It's like it maybe doesn't necessarily mean it was violent. You could have just not been adequately turned on. There could have been not adequate foreplay. Again, it really comes down to like so much communication needs to happen, especially if you're getting into any kind of kink territory.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It
is a dangerous game to play on the first time that you meet someone.
Yeah.
The whole point of kink is that it's controlled danger. Yeah, you're scared, but you have sufficient trust in the person that you know that the fear is a little bit assuaged.
Yeah. She's saying she felt like a human sex doll. Couldn't breathe. Spit in her mouth. We've all had that happen. No big deal. I don't mean to like sound like because you know what it is, if she's bullshitting, which it sounds like she is, this really takes away from like real rape victims. You know, this is somebody you knew and there was maybe a communication breakdown or a lack of standing up for yourself in the moment, being like, hey, like, you know, this just seems like a hookup that like maybe didn't go your way, or this guy kind of cut it off with you and this is how you get your power back is through these allegations.
Yeah.
It was painful. Stop running away from me. And then a lot of these things, you know, Dave says, you know, I didn't say that. And they didn't have sex again. She slept on the couch.
There's a lot of differences about Aristotle's eudaimonia or whatever the fuck they were debating over.
Yeah.
Pillow talk had descended. I want to sling it. Portnoy responded, I've gotten better. For years, Portnoy has managed to escape scrutiny. No, he hasn't.
He's been constantly scrutinized.
Yeah, a Barstool documentary series produced by the media company features Portnoy forcefully digitally penetrating a sex doll. Oh, God. How could he?
Declaring himself the Finger King. That sounds great. I want to meet the Finger King. Young men who called Portnoy El Presidente follow the mogul's every move, buying up the Barstool merchandise printed with logos like Team Portnoy, Portnoy Musk 2024. This is the thing right here. Young women tag him in provocative photos and videos in an attempt to get his attention. He reminds me of God, what was that guy? He was always pictured with models and he had like a beard.
Dan Bilzerian.
Yes. Oh man, and he was like, I think he would something of it's people say that he would like juice up his arms to make them look like, you know, bigger.
Jesus.
Like I don't know, he would get like injections or whatever. But yeah, Portnoy is like a more genuine dude than Blazarian, of course. Like,
yeah, he's a lot more relatable. Dave, come on in. We
personality.
have pizza and pussy. 10 out
Look
of
at
10.
that! Look at that! Look at this grade. He's like a college icon because he's just a fun hang, and he likes pizza and girls, which is like that's every person in college.
I don't know, man.
So funny.
Obviously, there's a problem here that someone that goes through something traumatic it's going to be difficult, and it's a tentative situation. But what did you think you were getting with Dave Portnoy, the fucking Finger King? What you told the Finger King that you had a rape fantasy where you completely lost all control. So putting this, I don't know if anyone is putting this in the same category as rape, but I don't think that it can be, presuming that the way that she's texted has continued in person, and it's only going to escalate from there. You've had a couple of drinks and you've had some pizza or whatever, and you've been flown out first class and you're all excited. It's just going to get more and more from there.
Yeah. Also, he's a guy that a lot of girls want to be around. They're attracted to like his success. It's like the very thing that makes him attractive to women is now the thing. It's, of course, there's always going to be two sides to it. Like your strengths can also be your weaknesses. The thing that attracts you to a guy could also be the thing that repels you from him. It's like, and I think it's a little bit of like people live in a fantasy land. It's like, do you really think like, right, the Finger King is gonna exactly what you said, throw down like rose petals and just like treat you like a gentler Christian Grey or something? And it's like not realizing this is a guy who can get whatever he wants, and also you met under sexual pretenses. So
I don't know. It depends on what the problem is that the girls have, because one of the girls I think was just unhappy with the fact that I can't even remember what one of there was, because there's three I think that are part of this big takedown thing, and Portnoy says that one of them he's never going to be able to refute because it's just a he said she said. Mm-hmm. Another one of them that sounds like the couch girl, he's got messages from. 3 women said they had sex with Portnoy, now 44, and that the encounters turned into a frightening and humiliating experience that have taken their toll on their mental health. Yeah, so the one that was talking about the depression thing, I don't know. I feel saying that if Dave Portnoy, one night with Dave Portnoy that you willingly consented to is the gateway drug to your depression, I think the depression was probably coming in any case.
Yeah. Some guy with a Boston accent bangs you and now you're depressed. It's like, all right, well, maybe it could have been anybody who triggered that. Again, it's like, right, these girls are young and who knows if they've hooked up a lot, or it's just, this is just what happens. And then of course you have like conservative influencers coming out and saying, well, this is hookup culture. This is why you have to get married. I think it just comes down to communication and like really knowing yourself. And I understand as a woman, like it's hard to stand up for yourself in the moment. You feel like you have to be nice and just get along. And that's the best way to get through it. Even if you are in a hookup that you're like, oh, I'm not enjoying this anymore. Let me just finish this out and then I'll get a cab. But then you kind of learn from it. Like I've had so many hookups that haven't gone great. And I would never think to me to the person. I go, oh, what was I thinking? Like, I was meeting a guy from Craigslist. That's on me. I'm old school. So, yeah, this is a good lesson for everybody. And I don't know if he's got to do like NDAs with girls he hooks up with now, but
fuck yeah.
He seems really frightened. He seems like genuinely scared that they could just take away his whole livelihood.
Did you watch the 2 videos that he put out on Twitter?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I can put one of those up. Yeah, he was just explaining like, oh, my lawyers are saying I probably shouldn't respond to this, but I am. And he really goes over in details. He shows the text messages. He says, okay, I know what girl this is by the date. And he said, we didn't get along from a personality standpoint, had nothing to do with the sex. And of course, it makes sense for a girl, because if you're feeling powerless and rejected, a very quick and easy way to get that power back is to accuse a guy of sexual misconduct. It sucks. That's definitely a card that women have. It really sucks. And I don't know if that'll ever go away, because you're always going to have genuine, like real victims. But then you have so many women that I think take advantage of that to feel powerful, when it's like, you as a woman need to work on the things that make you feel powerful anyway as a person. You shouldn't need to Me Too somebody to feel powerful. Like, work on your communication, work on standing up for yourself, work on, being clear with your wants.
So the fundamental question here is what Dave Portnoy did immoral or wrong? Let's say that what the girls are saying is true, that was the way that the incident went about. If they didn't bring it up at the time, if this girl was so keen to fly out there, did she decide to have second thoughts during sex, partway through? I don't know, maybe. But we're never going to know that. And I think anybody that doesn't distinguish what we've got, this story about Dave Portnoy, with a proper case of sexual assault or misconduct, that there has to be some light between those things, or else, for all of the rape victims out there, like, where was their fucking first class ticket? Where was their like pizza and penthouse suite? So yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a weird one. This is, I don't think it would be a news story if it wasn't Dave Portnoy. If it's not newsworthy, if it wasn't the person, then I'm not sure, because a sexual misconduct case is newsworthy no matter who it is that does it. But this only seems to be relevant because of the person that was involved. And the person that was involved doesn't seem like it's that surprising that it was them. The fucking Finger King. Like, come on.
And like, I think these women are so stupid because, like, think about it. Like, you're reaching out to this guy, and obviously, like, there's the connection you have is sexually based. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh man, we're talking on the phone. We share all the same values. Like, we're gonna start dating. It's like you started from a sexual point, so it's like that's your foundation. And then when you meet up with somebody and you're like, oh well, it was just about sex, or the sex didn't go. Well, fuck, that's.
What would you say to people that say, just because that was the way that the exchange began doesn't give him license to behave the way that he behaved?
I would say, the only thing that I've read that I have a problem with is, like, if he's videotaping somebody without their consent.
That's fucked.
That's a little fucked. But I would, if I was like blowing a dude and he was videoing me, I would like knock the phone out of his hand. Like, I would right away be like, what the fuck are we doing? Unless someone is secretly filming you, which is a whole nother thing. But
and if it was secretly filmed, then how would they know that it was being filmed?
Exactly. I'd be like, well, now we have to leak a porn.
There was a guy from the UK, he's called Stephen Bear, and he had CCTV in his garden, and he released, it was an XXX missus, and he released a video of her going down on him in his garden, and he has to fly back to the UK for some court hearings. Like, Stephen Bear is the UK's worst export at the moment. He's just got full on open fucking videos all over his Twitter, and that's one of the people that we're broadcasting to the world, is it? Stephen fucking Bear, and his video of his girlfriend licking his arsehole out as he stands up against a wall.
Wow.
On Twitter. Yeah, full on.
He should be the Finger King.
He is the Finger King. That's the real Dave Portnoy, and him can have a finger off.
That's the thing, is like, you can sexually exploit yourself, but you have to be. That's the thing. I think that a big problem here is, like, women are like sexually exploiting themselves, but they can't. Like, not everybody can do OnlyFans. Not every girl can get into porn. Because some people just don't have the spirit for it. Like, you just can't live with yourself in that way. And I think a lot of it's so easy on social media to, like, as a woman, sexually exploit yourself. It's so easy to take like hot photos and videos of yourself. It's so easy to text. It's almost like you've oversold yourself, and then you have that human experience, and it's like, oh well, shoot, I can't back up. Like, if you give 90% like sexiness online, and then you get in person, and oh, maybe you only want to give like 20 or 30% sexiness. Maybe you just actually want to talk or hang out. It's like, it's so easy to oversell yourself online, and you get in person, really, you're like, point. Oh, what's the disconnect? Because Dave's like, oh, I expected all this because you talked it up. You talked such a good game. You look so good. It's like, I want to fuck. You're giving a guy all the green lights in the world. And I think women are kind of trained do that, because almost like that's how we provide the most valuable. That's the most value, or that's how we are going to be liked, is by
You know
just
that it's
being
the
very
most
sexually
effective,
forward.
one of the most effective tools that you have to get something out of a man. Yeah, that's a really good point. So, I mean, one of the lessons there for girls is try and enter an exchange under the pretense that you want to continue it in. If you know that you're not in for the rape fantasy where I've completely lost control, quote, quote, if you're not in for that, then don't say it.
But it's so easy to say that, because as a woman, like, oh, this guy is really gonna like this. I'm gonna feel validated, and I'm gonna feel like, wow, this powerful guy, I'm able to like turn him on. Like, that
That's the
feels
same as
really
the
good.
guy that says, oh yeah, that Ferrari's mine and that penthouse is mine and I own this business, and you turn up and he's living in a tent somewhere.
Right. Yeah, and it's like, wow. Yeah, that feels really important. It's like knowing the signals you're truly giving out, and then being so surprised that you get flown out, and it's and the finger king is
Oh my God, I can't believe
expecting
Dave
things.
Portnoy's speaking to me, blah, blah, blah. It's a strange one. I do think that a big part of this is young people making mistakes, and a powerful guy who has had a bit of a target on his back for a while now being attempted to be taken down by the media. I think with this, it's always important to try and think about what lessons can be learned from it. Like, what are the actual genuine takeaways? Because we're never going to know. I don't think that we're ever going to find out. Dave's not going to release the videos. There's not going to be recordings. We've seen all the texts that we're going to see. We've seen all the Instagrams we're going to see. But that takeaway there is, if you're a girl that wants to hook up with a guy and you're sexting away, don't oversell what it is that you want, because at the very least, what you're going to create is a disconnect in terms of expectations from the person that you're going out to see.
Yes.
And, if you then decide to say, yeah, so let's do rape fantasies and fucking whatever else, if that's not what you want, why are you saying it?
Because you want to be accepted in the moment. You don't want to be rejected. None of us want to feel rejection. So it's easy to kind of like,
it's easy to accept something you don't want than to be rejected for something you do want.
Yeah. And what if you don't know what you want? Like, what if you're like an empathetic person and you're picking up the breadcrumbs of like, oh, Dave Portnoy likes this fantasy. Like, I am going to lean into that, because that means he'll accept me more and I'll be more validated and I'll get further with him, rather than being like, oh, I don't know about that. It's like it's good in the short term, but you're ultimately giving yourself a disservice, and you're setting yourself up for exactly this situation.
Yeah.
And then you act like a victim. It's like, well, you could have put a stop to that at some point, but it's hard to, right? Because it's like, it's like putting away porn, or putting, like not looking at compliments.
It's addictive.
It's very addictive, and it's like short-term gains versus like your long-term goals. So, and for Dave Portnoy, like, yeah, the lesson is like, I'm a successful guy, like, but where am I vulnerable? Am I like likely to be emotionally, do I fall in love quickly? Do certain looking women just have me powerless? And knowing that about yourself, because yeah, somebody could definitely take a lot of his money, ruin his business, ruin his
Dave's
public
worth
image.
as much as you say, which is like maybe hundreds of millions, and I think the company that has a 36% share in Barstool, their share price dropped by 20%. Yesterday. So they'd released some earnings that had caused a bit of that, but they'd also had this scandal around Dave that had got released. So if you're in his position, the lesson for anyone that's probably worth more than a couple of mil as a guy, just get NDAs. Just have a person on tap at all times who can create an NDA for you, and just have someone sign it before you go in. I don't actually think that the NDA that opens you up.
Is that even really going to do anything though? Because if you sign an NDA and then someone, pushes you down a flight of stairs.
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly what I had in my head there. That does the NDA just make it seem like you give yourself protection to do whatever you want? Because there must be limits to the NDA. Well, this is why it's a minefield. Yeah, this is why it's a total fucking minefield.
Derek Jeter used to give women gift baskets after he'd hook up with them.
Who did?
Derek Jeter.
I don't know who that is.
He's a He used to play for the Yankees.
Okay.
He's a baseball player. I don't know. I think that's
We
hilarious.
had we used T-shirts for our events company in the UK. So we had these black T-shirts with pink writing on. They just said Voodoo Events. But the only people that got these T-shirts were the managers. So we would know if you looked out of the there's a couple of streets in Newcastle that link all the student accommodations together. And if you sat and watched out of the window on the main student walks, which girls were walking down the street wearing a black T-shirt with pink writing on, you'd be able to identify which ones had come from the different managers' houses that we'd been
Oh,
at.
that's smart.
It's funny.
It's so smart. Yeah, it's like knowing your vulnerabilities. Oh, man. And there's so much on social media. Like you can just get your constant dopamine, right? For women, it's maybe validation compliments. For men, it's like constant visual novelty. So, wow, we figured it out, Chris. We solved everything.
Fixed it. Yeah, exactly. Me Too fixed it. Dave Portnoy's legal issues completed it. Asian Twitter got it.
Asian Twitter, yes. All the Twitters. What is coming up for you? What are you working on? Yeah, you're coming to Texas, which is cool. That's
Yes,
very
ma'am.
exciting. Where can people follow you? What's coming up? And yeah, plug yourself.
Modern Wisdom on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Chris Williamson on YouTube, where you're watching this. What else? So Austin's the big one. Get myself out there, get set up, continue to just do the show, but have a bit of a different routine. Paul Bloom is coming on the show, Yale psychologist. He's sick. Andrew Huberman is in my inbox. I'm trying to sneak Jocko in at some point. He's got a new fiction book out, so I'm going to try and sneak him on. I'll definitely be doing some stuff with Michael Malice once I'm out in Austin, which is sick. I'll be spending some time at the On It gym with Aubrey Marcus and his guys. So yeah, if you're in Austin and there's somewhere that I should go, then reach out and let me know. And the guy that handles my social media will tell me.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Chris. This was so fun. Everybody subscribe to his YouTube channel. Really like one of my favorite podcasts, like one of the few that I listen to when I like have free time. So that means a lot.
Seal of approval.
Yeah, you've been approved. Cool. Thank you, chat, for your comments and questions and all the good stuff. Until next time, guys. Bye. Come see my stand-up this Saturday at Morris Plains, New Jersey. Thanks. Bye.